Well, before anything else, start screaming, "Take care of me! Take care of me!" Let me see if I can't hear a little something about Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hello, Jocelyn. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada. 10th Canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Summary study by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Prabhupada. You know what Prabhupada roughly translates as Prabhu is Master, Prabhu, my Lord and Master, Prabhu Pad, which is, so Prabhupada is the spiritual master that other spiritual masters take shelter of. He's the Prabhupada. Take shelter of that Prabhu. Prabhupada. His feet give shelter to other spiritual masters. The Prabhu. Devotees, they're all Prabhus. They're all masters. Prabhu. Prabhupada liked that his disciples would all address each other as Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, no, Prabhu. But he was Prabhupada. He's the spiritual master. The other Prabhus, the other spiritual masters take shelter of. He's the Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. So getting toward the end of the chapter about the intrigue and all the goings on surrounding Shamantaka jewel, this really valuable, powerful jewel that was given to King Satrājit because the sun god was pleased with his worship. He gave him something materially valuable. That's what demigods do, is they give something materially valuable. So Satrājit, he was worshiping faithfully the sun god, he got this valuable jewel. When he wore it, he looked like the sun god. Everyone thought he was the sun god. and he would parade around Dwarka, where Krishna had his palaces, Krishna's kingdom. He would parade around Dwarka, and everybody thought the sun god had come to visit Krishna. But it was just Satrājit showing off his material opulence. It got him into a lot of trouble. Eventually, there was a lot of intrigue that went on, but eventually Satrājit was killed because of the jewel. Akrura, of all people, Akrura and Śatadhanvā. Akrura and who was the other one that was involved in the intrigue? Akrura and Śatadhanvā, two devotees of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, devotees of Vishnu. They incited this really low-class character. He was a thief, a murderer, who knows what else he did. He's a really low-class guy. And they put the bug in his ear. Hey, look, if you kill Satrājit, you can get that valuable jewel. It was, among other things, it was producing gold, 170 pounds of gold every day. So they appealed to Śatadhanvā to be the hitman. Śatadhanvā and Akrura, they wanted the jewel for Krishna. But they went about it in a not so nice way. Krishna had told Satrājit he could have the jewel and that everyone would benefit if he worshipped it in the temple. If he worshipped it nicely, everyone would benefit materially. But evidently Akrura, Krishna's uncle, and Śatadhanvā had other ideas. They were convinced that Krishna wanted the jewel, and he only let Satrājit have it because Satrājit was still attached materially. So they conspired to have this Śatadhanvā, this criminal, this lowlife, kill Satrājit while he was sleeping. And Satrājit was the father of one of Krishna's queens, Satyabhama. That was her father, and she was at home at the time because Krishna had gone to visit the devotees in where did he go? He went to where the Kauravas and Arjuna and everybody was living. He went to that kingdom, Hastinapur. He was in Hastinapur, and Satyabhama went home to her father's house. Her husband was away. She went home to her father's house. She was there, and Śatadhanvā snuck in the middle of the night. And he cut Satrājit's throat. He says he killed him just like an animal is killed in the slaughterhouse. Well, that's how they kill animals, they cut their throats. So he cut King Satrājit's throat and stole the jewel. And then Krishna was determined to punish this Śatadhanvā, to kill him, for killing his father-in-law like that. And when Śatadhanvā understood that Krishna was on his case now, he went to Akrura. Akrura refused to help him. And Śatadhanvā, oh no, we can't help you. They incited him to do it, but now, oh no, we can't go. That's Krishna. We can't go against Krishna. You know, good luck. Good luck, Śatadhanvā. We can't go against Krishna. We'd like to help you, but we can't. I'm sorry. So he went on the run. He dumped the jewel. And he was running out of fear of his life. And finally, Śatadhanva's horse collapsed and died. He was pushing him so hard. And Krishna ran after him on foot. and used his Sudarshan to sever the head of Śatadhanvā from his body. And then he and Balaram tried to find the jewel. It wasn't there. Śatadhanvā, when he went on the run, he decided to hand the jewel over to Akrura. So Akrura had the jewel. So Krishna's comment here is kind of funny. Well, it's not funny, but he says, "We have killed this person uselessly because the jewel is not to be found on his body." As if the jewel was the only reason it wasn't the only reason, it was because he had killed. And Rukmini was all upset. Her father had been, Satyabhama was all upset. Her father had been slaughtered. So that was the actual reason, not. But it sounds like, we killed him uselessly. There's no jewel here. Balaram suggested, the jewel might have been kept in the custody of another man in Dwarka, so you'd better return and search it out. Shri Balaram expressed his desire to remain in Mithila city for some days, because he enjoyed an intimate friendship with the king there. Therefore, Krishna returned to Dwarka, and Balaram entered the city of Mithila. When the king of Mithila saw the arrival of Shri Balaram in his city, he became most pleased and received the Lord with great honor and hospitality. He presented many valuable presents to Balaramaji in order to seek his pleasure. At this time, Shri Balaram lived in the city for several years as the honored guest of the king of Mithila, Janaka Maharaj. During this time, Duryodhana, the eldest son of Dhritarashtra, took the opportunity of coming to Balaram and learning from him the art of fighting with a club. So, Duryodhana, the enemy of the devotees of Krishna, the Pandavas, took shelter of Balaram to learn how to fight. Balaram accepted him as a disciple and taught him the art of fighting with a club. After killing Satrādhanvā, Krishna returned to Dwarka. And in order to please his wife Satyabhama, he informed her of the death of Satrādhanvā, the killer of her father. But he also informed her that the jewel had not been found in his possession. Then, according to religious principles, Krishna, along with Satyabhama, performed all kinds of ceremonies in honor of the death of her father-in-law. In that ceremony, all the friends and relatives of the family joined together. Akrura and Kritavarma, who were prominent members in the conspiracy to kill Satrājit, had incited Śatadhanvā to kill him. But when they heard of the death of Śatadhanvā at Krishna's hand, and when they heard also that Krishna had returned to Dwarka, they both immediately left Dwarka. So now Akrura has the jewel, Krishna's uncle. The citizens of Dwarka felt themselves threatened with pestilence and natural disturbance due to the absence of Akrura from the city. This was a kind of superstition because while Lord Krishna was present, there could not be any pestilence, famine, or natural disturbances. But in the absence of Akrura, there were some disturbances in Dwarka. Once, in the province of Kashi, within the barricade of Varanasi, there was severe drought and practically no rainfall. At that time, the king of Kashi arranged the marriage of his daughter, known as Gandhini, with Svapalka, the father of Akrura. This was done by the king of Kashi on the advice of an astrologer, and actually it so happened that after the marriage of the king's daughter with Svapalka, there was sufficient rainfall in the province. Due to this supernatural power of Svapalka, his son Akrura was also considered equally powerful, and people were under the impression that wherever Akrura, or his father remained, there would be no natural disturbance, famine, or drought. That kingdom is considered to be happy where there is no famine, pestilence, or excessive heat and cold, and where people are happy and mentally, spiritually, and bodily happy. As soon as there is some disturbance, people consider the cause to be due to the absence of an auspicious personality in the city. Thus, there was a rumor that because of the absence of Akrura, inauspicious things were happening. After the departure of Akrura, some of the elderly members of the town began to perceive that there were also inauspicious signs due to the absence of the Shamantaka jewel. When Lord Sri Krishna heard these rumors spread by the people, he decided to summon Akrura from the kingdom of Kasi. Akrura was Krishna's uncle. Therefore, when he came back to Dwarka, Lord Krishna first of all welcomed him as befitting a superior person. Krishna is the supersoul in everyone's heart. He knows everything that's going on in everyone's heart. He knew everything that had happened in connection with Akrura's conspiracy with Śatadhanvā. Therefore, he smilingly began to address Akrura. That's interesting because Akrura and Kritavarma, they incited Śatadhanvā to kill Satrājit and take the jewel. And their idea, or their so-called motive, was because Krishna wanted the jewel and Satrājit didn't actually deliver it very nicely. Krishna didn't. He was attached to it, a material thing, and Krishna just let him stay attached to it. But Krishna really wanted it so that everyone could benefit. He wanted to give it to Ugrasena, the ruler of the whole area, so everyone would benefit. But when Śatadhanvā gave the jewel to Akrura for safekeeping and went on the run to get away from Krishna, Akrura didn't give the jewel to Krishna. He kept it. And he left Dwarka with it. So Krishna knew all this. It's like these things are always going on in our lives as well. If we see things in relationship to Krishna, then we're seeing things as they are. If we see these kinds of things going on around us in this life, conspiracies, plots, stealing, murdering, all these things, if we see them simply as face value, we don't see them in connection with spiritual forces, then we remain entangled in identifying with the material energy, and we take birth over and over again, different types of material forms. But these activities go on. As we can see, this is right, Krishna is right there, and these activities are going on. Hare Krishna. It's not just, Krishna's dancing with the gopis and playing the flute. There's other things going on in Krishna. And it's all Krishna. And we can understand our own lives, we can get perspective on that, and remain functional and do what we have to do if we see everything in relationship to Krishna. So by hearing his pastimes, we can understand what the atmosphere surrounding the personality of Godhead is like. And there are many different atmospheres that surround him. There's, according to his pastimes and activities, his incarnations. So we become aware of the spiritual atmosphere. And it's not over there somewhere. It's right here. Because Krishna is incarnated in the holy name. He's incarnated in the deities in the temple. And a very great, great, great emissary of Krishna has just visited here and given the path of how to become conscious of Krishna in our lives. So we got a lot going for us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he called for Akrura and smilingly began to address Akrura, because he knew what had happened, everything. Addressing him as the chief among magnificent men, Krishna said, "My dear uncle, it is already known to me that the Shamantaka jewel was left by Śatadhanvā with you. Presently there is no direct claimant of the Shamantaka jewel, for King Satrājit had no male issue. His daughter Satyabhama is not very anxious for this jewel, yet her expected son as grandson of Satrājit would, after performing regulative principles inheritance, be the legal claimant of the jewel." Lord Krishna indicated by the statement that Satyabhama was already pregnant and that her son would be the real claimant for the jewel and would certainly take the jewel from him. Krishna continued, "This jewel is so powerful that no ordinary man is able to keep it. I know that you are very pious in activities. There is no objection to the jewel being kept with you. There is one difficulty, and that is that my elder brother, Sri Balaram, does not believe my version that the jewel is with you. I therefore request you, O large-hearted one, to show me the jewel before my other relatives, so they may be pacified." "You cannot deny that the jewel is with you, because from various kinds of rumors, we can understand that you have enhanced your opulence and are performing sacrifices on an altar made of gold." The properties of the jewel were known. Wherever the jewel remained, it would produce the keeper almost 9 mounds of pure gold daily, 170 pounds. Akrura was getting gold in that proportion and was distributing it very profusely at sacrificial performances. Lord Krishna cited Akrura's lavishly spending in gold as positive evidence of his possessing the Shamantaka jewel. When Lord Krishna, in friendly terms and in sweet language, impressed Akrura about the real facts, and Akrura understood that nothing could be concealed from the knowledge of Krishna, he brought the valuable jewel, shining like the sun and covered by cloth, and presented it before Krishna. Lord Krishna took the Shamantaka jewel in his hand and showed it to all his relatives and friends present there, and then again returned the jewel to Akrura in their presence, so they would know that the jewel was actually being kept by Akrura in Dwarka city. So in a way, the jewel became prasadam. When Satrājit offered the jewel to Krishna after his brother had been killed, and all the citizens of Dwarka were saying nasty things about him because they were convinced Krishna wanted the jewel, and Satrājit, when he delivered the jewel, he didn't do it very nicely. It's like, if one offers me with love and devotion a fruit, a flower, a leaf, or water, I'll accept. So without the love and devotion, Krishna is not inclined to accept an offering, no matter how opulent it might be. So when Satrājit offered the jewel to Krishna, it wasn't out of love and devotion for Krishna, to serve Krishna. It was because he wanted the citizens to stop saying bad things about him. That was all. So because it wasn't really offered to Krishna in a way that is acceptable to Krishna, he didn't accept it. And Satrājit kept the jewel, and eventually Śatadhanvā came and killed it and took it away from him. Killed Satrājit, took it away from him. But here, Krishna accepts the jewel from Akrura. He takes it in his hand and he shows everyone the jewel, and then he hands it back to Akrura. So the jewel actually has like a prasadam. It's kind of like prasadam. You know, if you offer something to Krishna, he doesn't, like if you offer food to Krishna, he doesn't like mush it up and turn it into nasty brown substances. You know, he eats it. He accepts, if there's love there, he accepts the offering and he leaves the remnants for the devotee to enjoy. So Akrura offering the jewel to Krishna, Krishna accepted it from him. And then he gave it back to him. So it became like prasadam. It had Krishna's blessings because Krishna accepted. With Satrājit, he didn't accept the jewel. He didn't have Krishna's blessings. He didn't accept it. But here, he took it in his hand. He accepted it. And then he handed it back to his uncle. Lord Krishna took the Śatadhanvā jewel in his hand and showed it to all his relatives and friends present there, and then again returned the jewel to Akrura in their presence so that they would know that the jewel was actually being kept by Akrura in Dwarka city. This story of the Śatadhanvā jewel is very significant. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that anyone who hears the story of the Śatadhanvā jewel or describes it or simply remembers it will be free from all kinds of defamation and the reactions of impious activities, and thus will attain the highest perfectional condition of peace. So, those are nice things to have. Hare Krishna. Make life a little easier so that our time isn't constantly spent in defending ourselves or getting out of dangerous positions, and that we have time to hear and chant. Be free from defamation and the reactions of all impious activities. Hare Krishna. Oh, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hey Madhusudana. Hare Krishna. Prabhu means Lord, and Pada means foot or feet. Prabhupada hence translates as one who sits at the Lord's feet. Oh, okay. I've heard it explained another way, but that it was the Prabhu whose feet the others take shelter of. The other Prabhus take shelter of. That's the way they always explained it, but it's certainly true this way too. Prabhu means Lord, Pada means feet or foot, and translate Prabhupada, one who sits at the Lord's feet. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. But when we call each other Prabhu, we're not calling each other Lord. Like if I call you Prabhu, I don't think you're like the Lord. You know? So I'm inclined to favor the first understanding, and then this could be like a secondary understanding. I'm inclined to accept the other way of understanding. And it's just another question, and I'd like to see discussion on what Prabhupada actually, how we actually understand that title, Prabhupada. There's no, it's certainly true. One who sits at the Lord's feet, that's certainly true. But then the other perspective on it is the Prabhu who others take shelter at his feet. Just like Mahaprabhu, the great Prabhu the Mahaprabhu, is the Lord himself, is the Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then there's Prabhupada, and then there's lots of little Prabhus. And Prabhujis. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna.